Hello, my name is Esther Campbell. I'm a clinical study director at BioScience Laboratories. And what I like most about the job as a clinical study director is it's a combination of science and working with people. I really enjoyed teaching when I was in college, and this is a good mix where I have to get the study done correctly, accurately, and understand the results, but at the same time I'm using volunteers, paid volunteers who come from all walks of life and come in and help us with these studies.
Hello, my name is Collette Duley, and I am a study director in the clinical laboratory. I've worked at BioScience for about 6 years, been a study director for the last 2. What I really like most about working as a clinical study director is really threefold. I would say one is getting to design studies with sponsors to make sure to design it in a way that we can perform well as providing the sponsor with their intended end result. The second thing I would say is I really like working with the subjects. That's one of the fun parts about clinical, is you work with people from all different walks of life. We have people who are, stay-at-home moms. We have people who are retired, they're 70. We have students. We have people who struggle financially. So lots of different personalities, and it's just really great to interact with those people. And then I would say the third thing that I really like about being a clinical study director is working with the team of people that I work with here at BioScience. We work really hard to make sure that everybody is trained, and we work with the strengths of every single person, technician-wise, and I just feel that the team that we have is really strong, and we provide a quality service for our sponsors.
Hello, my name is Kendra Drake. I am a clinical study director and an in vitro study director for BioScience Laboratories. I am recently new to both positions, but I find that the work is very thrilling, and it feels like you're actually making a difference. The effort that we put in for the clients for both laboratories are much different from each other, but they are both exciting. Some is just bench work, and some days like that still feels like you are making a difference, and others is you're working with actual subjects and you're getting their input in on products too. So it makes you feel both sides of the industry, and that you're making a difference not just in the product but also in people that we interact with on a day-to-day basis.
Every clinical study starts with a proposal from our sales department where they have already talked to the sponsor about what their needs are, identified what method we might be following, and other important parts of the study, number of subjects, things like that. But then we go on to the next step, which is a sales handoff meeting where the sales department, the study director who's been assigned to the study, and the sponsor all sit down and really get through what their problem is and what they want solved and answered. And that is one of the best ways we have to create protocols and perform testing that really answers the questions sponsors have.
I feel that BioScience does a really good job in collaborating with our sponsors and both giving them what the sponsor needs, and as well as making sure that we can do our job properly for them. In particular, one of my favorite parts is conversations, whether it be a phone conversation, an email conversation, and in particular when a sponsor is here on site with us, because a person can only express the way that we work and the way we function so much via telephone or email conversation, but once the person is here, they're able to interact, they're able to see how we work. It is such a benefit, and it's really great to have a one-on-one conversation with the people we work with. And I feel that once a sponsor leaves, they just have a better idea of how we work, and they feel a much better connection, and they're just really happy with the way it works, and they feel like the study is in good hands, and that's a good feeling to get that feedback.
When working with sponsors, a lot of times we spend a lot of time developing with them an exact method or talking through what they expect their product to come out as. They a lot of times have the input that they need, input from other areas. We try to suggest any input that we have. We use a lot of methods that are currently accepted by a lot of different organizations. Also at BioScience, we try to help sponsors develop new methods that they can put through and get approved as a method that would be then standardized and used throughout the country. And sometimes we are lucky enough to also help out with things that may be accepted on a world method development.
I feel that bioscience, in my opinion, focuses on quality. If you don't have quality, you have nothing. There's no point in running any studies. There's no point in subjects coming in. There's no point in sponsors asking us to do any testing for them if they're not going to get quality results. And it goes beyond just the testing. I feel that bioscience has quality in every single department. I feel our sales department has all kinds of information. They know the methods. They know what types of studies to do for sponsors with specific needs. I feel our recruitment does a really good job with recruiting the subjects, making sure that they're qualified for our studies. We have an extensive training program to make sure that technicians are performing things correctly. We do in clinical deal with the human variable, and that's difficult because being science, you want to decrease the variables as much as possible. And when you're dealing with different humans, it can be difficult. And so to make sure that we can make subjects perform the procedures the same as much as possible is really important. And I feel that the training that the technicians receive aids them in doing that. And data, we do exploratory data analysis. Once we have all of the data and the studies done, we make sure that, if we have any data points that stick out, we go back through all the sample data sheets. We take detailed notes. We even take notes on things that may not seem important. If a subject says, I had a really stressful day, or I have 3 finals, well, we'll make a note about that because maybe we find something is strange with their data and we have an explanation. Well, maybe they were concentrating on a test, and we might be able to look at that and say, hey, maybe that's the reason this data point's different. So we are really, really detail-oriented. Our quality assurance is also really detail-oriented. That's the reason we have so many reviews in both the planning and the finalizing stage. We want to make sure that the product that you receive is quality from the beginning to the finish of a study.
The way a clinical study operates at BioScience Laboratories requires collaboration between all sorts of different groups of people. It starts, of course, with our recruitment office, our paid volunteers, goes on to the media department, which makes the vast majority of the media we use on every test, goes through all of the technicians involved in testing, myself as a study director, directing them, and analyzing results at the end, our statistician, who's also the CEO and president of our company, analyzing results at the end, and our quality assurance unit at the end, checking everything for accuracy and completeness.
Collette Duley has been a study director for a considerable number of years now, and Colette's asset and her biggest strength is her whole personality. It's the enthusiasm that she brings to every study. Collette, it's interesting about Collette, she actually has a teaching certificate, and that teaching certificate is a tremendous asset, and it can be seen every day when she works with her team and with other teams. She's a natural and gifted teacher and trainer. She helps all of her team become very well prepared as they work on their studies, and helps them learn more so that they can take that learning and transition that learning to the next study as she moves forward. So that natural gift of teaching comes through in her pre-project reviews and the way that she assigns and delegates responsibilities to others to help them learn and grow professionally.
Collette Duley has the educational experience, which she has brought to the clinical laboratory. She acts very much like a mentor, and she instructs her studies like she would a classroom, to where the studies are designed, the purposes are understood, and the training occurs, so the studies will be fluid and precise.
So Esther Campbell. Esther has been with us for quite a few years. Esther's skills and talents are her organizational skills. It is rare in my career that I've ever seen anybody who is as proficient at planning and thinking through a study before we get there. She can map it out, and she helps other study directors and associate study directors determine how to map out their studies. She stays extremely focused. She can be very intense, but that's really an asset to us and her team as she helps bioscience achieve outcomes in her studies.
So Esther Campbell is another study director within the clinical laboratory. She has experience with the in vitro studies and then also in the clinical setting. One of her gifts is she's incredibly well organized, and her memory is outstanding. She takes the idea from the sponsor and is able to put that idea into a protocol and ensure that that study follows that protocol and the sponsors are getting what they want. So Kendra Drake has quite a bit of experience in the in vitro laboratory as well, and she has brought that experience to the clinical department, and she's able to run both clinical studies and in vitro studies. She also has a really good understanding of what the in vitro data means, and if there is anything in particular that is out of the ordinary, she can identify that.
She is a historical reservoir of information, like the walking study encyclopedia. Recently, she's been promoted to a study director, a position that she's pretty excited about attaining, and pretty excited about taking on some new studies and having a team working directly with her. Her tremendous asset is exactly her knowledge. It's all that historical data. She has had an opportunity to work in almost every type of study that we do, and she's also had an opportunity to work in our in vitro laboratory as well as our clinical laboratory. So here's this woman who has all this information, who can easily share it with anyone who's ready and willing to learn and or who is incurring a problem. So Kendra is our newest study director, excited to have that opportunity, and she gets an opportunity to every day put this wealth of knowledge to work for the success of our sponsors.